The Boys Season 4 finale just dropped, and I just watched it with these peepers of mine, so I'm here to vomit some thoughts on the season as a whole. Throughout the season, I've been pretty vocal that, for the most part, I found it to be the weakest of the series so far. So the series, like The Boys, being the weakest in this show is like being the least strong powerlifter. Like, you're still stronger than 99% of the population. I still think The Boys is a really good show, better than a lot of shows that come out. I just, for the most part, felt this season wasn't nearly as great as the previous one. Now, before you bare your fangs at me, let me explain. Previous seasons weren't perfect or anything, they definitely had some ups and downs, but overall I just felt like it was still stronger than the majority of this season. I think the finale of Season 4 was spectacular. Like, I actually thought that was extremely hype and it got me fucking salivating for the final season. But I'm going to talk about that separately. I want to talk about all the episodes leading up to it, because I really felt like most of it was like watching filler in Naruto, where it was kind of like padding until the next major arc happened. Which really isn't fair to say, because this isn't like some kind of non-canon mumbo-jumbo nonsense that doesn't tie in. It wasn't just filler, it was just in a state of perpetually building to where the finale eventually takes us. But in the process of building, it kind of lost that sense of danger. Like, there was never any moments in the series, in Season 4, where any of the main cast felt like they were in a perilous situation where someone might die, or there might be like real repercussions for a decision that was made or a plan that goes wrong. Now, there's no way to really talk about this without getting into some spoilers, so fair warning, but I'm gonna do my best to avoid like big spoilers. So what I mean by this is, like, Butcher is afflicted with super cancer, the dude is fading away like a fucking fart into the wind, and yet it still never felt like he was actually in danger of dying. And even when plans go so wrong, completely tits up, none of the characters were ever really in mortal danger. Like, it always fell onto someone else, like, who's the lead? And then eventually it ends with Web Weaver getting fucking bisected after he comes out of his butt like 6 times in fear. Like, it just never really felt like there was any huge risk to the cast, where previous seasons doing anything directly with the soups was life or death. Like, this is a big deal, but here it's played off almost comedically every single time, with Huey going undercover in Web Weaver's garb and then getting sexually assaulted for like 10 minutes. And they play it off as a joke, where he gets butt-ass naked and is forced to sit on top of a cake and kegel in order to sexually pleasure a complete fucking freak superhero. That's probably like the main reason I felt like this season was weaker than the previous ones, is just because it felt like it almost never really mattered if plans went according to how they were drawn up in the blueprints, you know, whether or not you followed John Mack's playbook here, it ultimately didn't matter because the main characters had plot armor. So, it's not like the biggest deal in the world because it's still a good show. And they did some things that I really did like, especially A-Train. I think A-Train had an incredible arc in this season. I'm really excited to see what he does in the final season. Like, they had A-Train go from this almost irredeemable character from the beginning. In fact, A-Train is really kind of the character that kicks off The Boys and pretty much brings all of it to the forefront. And they take this villain and they've slowly developed him into a character that is really well fleshed out. It's a character who, for the first time in their life now, has done something that made them feel like a real hero, as opposed to just this fucking bought mascot that they pretend is a hero, but is actually just like an awful person. Now, he's really feeling like he can do something good. And it's really cool to see that development. Like, I really think they did amazing with A-Train and his redemption arc. And they also introduced a new character that I think is really good, Sister Sage. She's the smartest person in the world, and Homelander recruits her to the Seven because he believes that she can help him accomplish all of his goals and wildest dreams. And she can. She's kind of the puppet master behind everything that happens in Season 4. She puts together the plan, and even when things don't go exactly how she drew it up, ultimately, things are going exactly how she wants them to, because she is that smart. She's able to put all of these moving pieces together and just play the game. I also really love what they did with Huey's dad. I'm going to avoid spoilers around that topic, but I absolutely thought they crushed everything about that episode. Like, it was more than just the Huey mother and father relationship dynamic and everything there. but also some of what happened there ties into just an overarching theme of it, and I thought it was just like beautifully leaned into that. I really thought they handled that super well. I thought that was fantastic. And of course, yes, Homelander is still an incredible villain, and in this season, even more so. He doesn't exert his strength as much in this season as previous ones, but that almost makes him even more intimidating because now he's trying different methods besides just brute strength to get to his goal. That's not to say that he doesn't kill people in this season, because of course he does. Homelander probably doesn't go a single day without killing somebody by accident. So there's plenty of scenes of him just murdering people, torturing people like a group of scientists. He has some brutal slaughters, you know, fucking ripping someone's face off and licking his own asshole with their tongue type shit, like big gruesome things. But that's not what makes him like a scary villain. It's just how great Anthony Starr's performance is, coupled with how well written Homelander is. And now he's got the smartest person in the world by his side, and it's just really interesting. Even though Homelander like snaps at one point and just goes like full fucking like Neanderthal brain, really like temper shit, seeing red, and just goes rogue, off book, no longer following the master plan that's been elaborately laid out in front of him. He's been trying to do it all himself, and that is also still really good. Homeland is just a really good villain, and he's good in this season too. I could go on further for things I liked about the season, but I want to start getting into the things I didn't like that I feel makes it the weakest of the series so far. So one of the main things I didn't like about this season was what they did with Starlight. I have never liked the cliche, the trope of like super strong characters starting to lose their powers, oh no. Like I just never like when a character gets nerfed and she's going through that here in a big way. But worse than that, they turned her into kind of this loose ending. So like she's very aggressive and she seems very callous. So another thing I really didn't like is that it seems like the relationship between Starlight and Huey is non-existent throughout season 4. Like they probably only have like 4 or 5 scenes in total where they seem even remotely intimate, and that's in the last couple episodes. But before that, they kind of just look like fucking strangers. They look really indifferent and distant between each other. That whole relationship seems sidelined, and for some inexplicable reason, she's very unsympathetic towards Huey in even his most traumatic moments, like when he gets sexually assaulted multiple times. She actually even gets mad at him for being sexually assaulted. There's gonna be a big spoiler, fair warning. There's a shapeshifter in this scene, and the shapeshifter takes the form of Starlight and turns into real Starlight. Huey, of course, doesn't know that. So the Annie that keeps coming home to him every night, he believes is the real Annie. He has no reason to suspect otherwise. So they fuck. They steam ham in the bedroom together. Even propose. They even, you know, have a proposal moment. And when the real Starlight breaks free and, you know, sorts all that mess out, she gets mad at Huey for having sex with the fake Starlight. He got sexually assaulted. He didn't know. He had no idea that this was a fucking stranger. That's a sexual assault, and she's getting, like, furious at him for it. That's baffling to me, because she's also the victim of sexual assault in the show, and yet here, she's mad at Huey for being a victim. That really just rubbed me the wrong way. Now, she doesn't stay mad about it for long. A few scenes later, she does come up to Huey and talk about it in a different way. But even still, just having that at all was just really weird for Starlight as a character. I just really didn't like what they did with Starlight for this season, but with the way the finale ends, I am very curious to see what she's like in season 5. Because the position she's in at the end of this season is totally different. Another thing that really started grinding my gears, and this one's a little more of a nitpick, but it really felt like this season, after the characters were just perpetually sexual, like, of course that's nothing new to the boys. This isn't going to be like one of those moments where your eyes pop out and you're like, sexual? In the boys? Why, I never. But even in previous seasons with like the fucking hero-gasm and everything, this one just felt like every character conversation somehow tied into cock in one way or another. Like any time the Deep or Noir was on screen,